I have a formative gaming memory from when I was young. One of the minigames in New Super Mario Bros. Was an incredibly simple version of poker. There were barely any stakes, it was incredibly easy to win, but I still played it for hours. I think Luigi was honestly happy to lose money. I didn't realize until recently this created a void in my soul that has persisted for years up into the present day. I never knew how much I needed a quirked-up Italiano to clap and cheer for me when I gave him a bunch of random cards. So anyway, Balatro. Balatro is a card-based roguelike that takes inspiration both from classic card games like Klondike and 52 Pickup, as well as card games that have broken out in the digital space like Slay the Spire. The Balatro sales pitch describes it as a poker roguelike, and that's not inaccurate, but it goes deeper than that. Balatro evokes the aesthetic of pokers and old gambling dives, but it also takes plenty of cues from the scaling and economy of auto battlers. Luckily, it's less sweaty, unfriendly, and posture-ruining than any of them. I'm extra shoddy, and if I were responsible and well-adjusted, I would have played the Balatro demo a few times and then waited patiently for the full release. Alas. Instead, let me be your Balatro ambassador for the day, your evangelist. So let me ask, are you down to clown? I apologize, I phrased that poorly. Are you down with the clown? Balatro starts you off with a standard 52 card deck, a bicycle that anyone can ride. From there, you're dealt 8 cards, allowed to discard to build a better poker hand, and are then scored based on its strength. Balatro gives you plenty of ways to scale the score, from committing Saganic rituals.
There are in fact 100 billion other galaxies.
Filling your outfield with literal clowns, or giving your fade up to the world. You've got options, and you'll learn to use them. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start simple. This is the first blind of Balatro. We draw our hand of 8 and get next to nothing. A pair is something, but we can do better. We've already got the makings of a flush in our hand, and the starting point for a straight. Let's try for a straight. Every type of hand contributes a certain amount of chips and multiplier, and every card played adds chips equal to its rank. We need at least 300 chips to pass this blind, so let's see what we're working with now. It's not quite enough, but it wouldn't be hard to improve it. Let's try another discard. That's the little bit we needed. Now we can play a straight and be one and done. Scoring in Balatro plays out like many other games in the card game genre. It starts simple, and almost immediately becomes silly. Tell me, do you want to learn how to pitch a big tent? Don't answer that. Your score is defined by your chips and their multiplier. There are 3 main modifiers to these parameters: your base multiplier, chips, and multiplying that multiplier. Let's call that X-mult. Base multiplier adds to your multiplier, chips add to your saturated fats, and X-mult applies a multiplier to your entire score. Take note that these don't happen simultaneously. Your hand is scored first, then your individual cards, and then the rest of your jokers. There's plenty of little things that I'd want to talk about, but we're not done clowning around just yet. Here's how a typical hand might play out. We have an excess of clubs, so we can use them to go for a flush. We have more than enough to make a flush of clubs, but thanks to the 4 fingers joker, we actually only need 4. Sadly, our clubs are also in sequence, and also thanks to the 4 fingers joker, we have also formed a straight, creating a straight flush. We play the hand, and our first phase of scoring begins. The hand is scored based on the strength of a straight flush and how much we've upgraded that. Now, we score for the individual cards. Our gluttonous joker gives us 4 base multiplier every time a club is counted for scoring. When all of our cards are scored, Popcorn is going to add another 12 base mult. Swashbuckler will add 4 base mult, and then Trio does nothing, like the freeloader he is. When you've gained some experience of your own in Balatro, you'll know exactly what I've done wrong. Improving your score in Balatro happens through 3 specific mechanics: planet cards, jokers, and tarot cards. Planets correspond to specific poker hands, and upgrading them improves both the chips and the base multiplier of that hand. Jokers are your main lineup, your adventuring party out to beat the odds. Which odds? Todd's. All of them have unique effects, and how they modify your score depends heavily on how they interact with one another. Tarot cards are your least direct form of scaling, and have all kinds of weird effects that apply directly to your cards, from changing their suit to attempting cardstock alchemy. Using them in tandem to beat blind after blind is the essence of Balatro, and you'll never be in doubt about what you're trying to do. Until you meet the Hermit.
Even though we got money, I'm got money.
Hermit does something very simple. He doubles your money. And unlike half the population of Varric, this one isn't trying to scam middle schoolers. There's quite a few ways to get incredibly wealthy in an instant while you're buying in at Balatro, but becoming fabulously wealthy is only a means to an end. You're not gambling to make money. You're making money to gamble. It's easy to overlook the kind of power a good money-making scheme can give you. While it's tempting to work with your limited resources towards a single build, getting a good stream of them can make anything work. But we have a pressing concern. If we're going to take the poker table to school, how are we supposed to pay for Clown College? The answer is simple. With Clown Debt. Credit card lets you go into debt up to $20 and only costs and sells for $1. You'd have to be a bozo not to take it. You'd also have to be a bozo to use it. This was a world record, by the way. I'm never going to financially recover. So we're in the middle of a run, and we have options. Too many, in fact. We have strong multipliers, a source of tarot cards, and a way to scale even if we skip the shops. But we've been offered even more game-breaking tools, and sadly, they don't mesh. Copy jokers are unfathomably powerful, but I genuinely don't want to be strong. You can't farm if you win, and I'm not about to throw in the trowel. So what do you do in this spot? Well, you take the tools you need for tarot farming, and then forget that you're supposed to be broke. How embarrassing. Once you've started playing some runs of Balatro, and even started winning a few, something strange starts to occur. Your focus turns from the concerns of day-to-day life. You see jokers in your sleep, and they're playing tricks on your mind. You can't stop thinking about the build. We touched on the order that your score was measured beforehand, and now it's time to explain why that matters. Take a look at this hand and how it's calculated. We have a hand with 2 glass cards, cards that double your current score, and a card that adds base multiplier. If we play the glass cards first, we'll double our hand's starting multiplier, and then add the base multiplier on top. This is pretty good. However, if we start with our base mult, then that will also be multiplied by our glass cards. Once you start stacking effects like this, their impact becomes truly absurd. It's very good that you can only play up to 5 glass cards at a time, right? I'm sure glad you couldn't use it more and more and more, right? Hack has a unique effect to repeat the scoring of a low-value card, because he's repeating the joke. He's repeating the joke, don't you get it? But more importantly, any enhancements on that card are repeated as well. This is a fun way to turn 5 glass cards into 10. Now what if we took this effect, and we copied it again? And what if we copied it again? Hey, that's pretty funny. This was a relatively mild iteration of the build. There's plenty of ways to improve on this, and the full version of Balatro will have even more options for stacking your score. Did I mention that yet? The full release of Balatro will have over 3 times as many jokers as the demo, more blinds, more stages, more decks, and all of it coming out February 20th. If you think anything I've spoken about could be fun, give Balatro a shot. You won't regret it. If you've gotten this far into the video and haven't gotten tired of the clown puns, I commend you for your bravery. If you want a more in-depth look at the mechanics of Balatro, I would recommend checking out Gothic Lord UK's channel, who's put up solid Balatro content since the very first demo. Once again, thank you for watching. And while we're here, wouldn't you think you could press that button for me? Pretty please? I could really use it and it'd be nice.